can remember Christmas Eve going to bed and determined that I was going to wake up and listen to Father Christmas, but of course I never did. And we used to lay in bed, and then they used to have the carol singers come round. The Salvation Army always had a band and a full chorus. The church would come round and they'd knock at the door and you'd give them pennies and all that. So until I went to sleep, and I'd wake up early in the morning and feel at the bottom of the... Do you know, I can never smell cardboard. Though you don't smell it much today, is without seeing that box on the bottom of my bed with a doll in it, you know, and the pretty little apron and a box of chocolates. That's just part of it. So I say I had plenty of things, always a pile of books. And then when I got up, I'd always get up early downstairs. My father and my grandfather would be up already. They would clear Grandma and Granddad's bedroom. All the furniture went down into the cellar, huge cellar. And they would open the folding doors. All the furniture that could be moved was taken down the cellar. By this time, some of the guests that arrived and the men would help.
So how on earth did we fit all these up to 30 people in one house overnight?
Well, before the preparations of Christmas were being made, Christmas morning, all the people who arrived, men arrived, they all helped, you see. They would go up into the bedrooms and they would take the beds apart. Because remember in those days you had a spring and the mattress, and was saying, take them down, and all the heads of the beds would be taken down into the cellar. The spring was put on the floor with the mattress on top, and then they made up the beds. And where the children slept, we didn't sleep head to toe. We slept along the side of the bed in a row, you know, and you see them all the wrong way of the bed. That's how we used to sleep. And then the men would all sleep in one room and women all... But all the beds were taken down and the springs put on the bed like that. So that perhaps half a dozen people could lie on one bed. And if there wasn't any over, well, then they slept downstairs in the armchairs. But it was great fun.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come.
It was absolutely wonderful. I could sit on the stairs and there would be Grandma in her kitchen cooking the turkey. My mother upstairs cooking a piece of beef or a leg of pork. And all these lovely smells coming in and all the people arriving. Then my grandfather, he was a great one for decorating. He had all those little glass light things and with the nightlife in them. We used to have strings of them going all round the room. We always had a huge Christmas tree with a fairy on the top. And then the people would start to arrive, you know, and then it was always the chatter. But before the Christmas, my grandfather would come in with a bag, a sack of nuts, a sack of oranges, all ready for this great day. And in my grandmother's kitchen, there was a table right out. There wasn't enough chairs. They put 2 chairs and a plank between and cushions on with sit on. So we all sat round and waited. Then the ladies of the family, that was my mother and my mother's sisters and Grandma, was out in the kitchen part, and they would be carving. My mother always carved. She carved beautifully. And the vegetables they put in. Arthur, do you want 2 legs? Oh, no, one will do for me. So and they come out and say, this is Arthur's, this is Granddad's dinner. And they come out, it's all ready. We just sat down. Everybody sat down and ate. We didn't have soup beforehand or anything like that, but all down the table. My mother and my grandmother was a beautiful cook. Her family her uncles had had a restaurant in the city, and she had been there, and she was a filler-in. If anyone was short, she did their job. She was a beautiful cook. So there was mince pies all down there, and everything you could think of. And so we'd sit down. Anybody want any more? There was always plenty. And then the Christmas puddings would come up. They'd been cooked previously in the copper in this kitchen. And then they were reheated on the back. They used to have the old-fashioned stove, you know, with the fire and the oven. And they would all be on the top there warming up for after dinner. Custard. We didn't have cream in those days.
How many Christmas puddings did it take to feed 30 people?
I can't. They used to make about, I'd say, 12 to 14 Christmas puddings in the for Christmas. They was put in and they was taken down the cellar. And, well, they was just eaten. And they were big eaters in those days. So I wouldn't like to say, really wouldn't like to say, but they were big 2-pounders. And so I would say, well, at least 2. And then probably in the supper time they'd eat more. Because supper time was laid out all the cold meats and pickles and everything. So there was absolutely, when I think of all the amount of food that we used to eat in those days, I find it absolutely incredible.
What years are we talking about?
That was told. Well, I was born in 1914, but my first remembrance, I say, my mother smacking my bottom because I'd been a very naughty girl and made a mess beside Great Aunt Fanny. And I couldn't have been older than 2 then.
So these Christmases were in the period before 1920?
Yes. Until 1922, when my father lost his job, well, then there was no money then for that sort of thing.
And all the people that came, were they all relatives or friends? Who were
Mostly relatives. We had my mother's grandmother. My grandmother's sister was married to a real Cockney. He looked after the horses at Bethnal Green, Catford at Bethnal Green. And he used to wear a white scarf around his neck tied, you know. And when it came, he always liked to drink. And when he'd had enough, he wanted to sing. And we could say, don't let him sing, don't let him sing. But finally he would. And he used to sing only the one song, 50,000 feathers round a thrush's throat. Oh, that's been a wonderful memory ever since. And all my father's family, his mother's family, were very musical. My father played the piano, played the violin principally. At one time he was going to join an orchestra, but he met my mother and changed his mind. And his brother played the banjo. He used to make all his own banjos. They all played something, so that we had a band. See, there was the piano, the violin, and so then they put all saucepans and one things along, you know, and played on all the saucepans. So we had a real band. Then everybody had to do their bit, their song. Even me, as little as it was, we all had to sing a song.
Can you remember the songs that you would have sung?
I sang, well, I don't remember probably. My mother taught me a song, and I wish I could remember it. I love my daddy. He's my power, rain or shine, and that's all I can remember of it. I know I sang that when I went to school. They asked us if one of us liked to sing, as anyone liked to sing, when I first went to school, and all the other children got up, but they sang nursery rhymes and everything. But I sang this song, and they were astonished. They went and got the other teachers, and I had to sing it again for the others. But you see, my mother taught me that. You see, that's how we did. You see.
Were there parlour games as well?
Oh yes, you did. Postman's knock and handing round something in a basin, you blindfolded, and you put your hands in it. Oh, they played all those sort of games. And when we were supposed to go to bed, I'd come out and sit on top of the stairs, and you could hear the grown-ups saying they were playing Postman's knocks for real. Boxing morning, all the men would go out for a drink. See, they'd go to several pubs, I say, and so they would come back merry. So they'd say they were drunk, but they were really merry. And one Christmas, I remember, I was sitting on stairs, my usual place. Mind you, I had other, cousins and that sort of thing, but they perhaps were playing or something. And the door, knocked the door, and my mother opened the door, and my father and 5 of his friends came in. They'd found a shop, a barber shop open that sold theatrical costumes, and they come in dressed all in these theatrical costumes. There was Father Christmas. There's another one dressed in a white dress with all the flounces of what's the same. It was, and they had long curls, bought a wig with great long curls. You see what I say? My father never saved his money, and it was like, what should I say? It's just magic. It was absolutely magic.
Can you describe, say, a doll that you might have been given?
Oh, yes, I had some lovely dolls. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm sure that I had one of those Sith bears because I can remember the bump on his back. But of course, to me, it was only a bear and I don't know what happened to it. But then I had dolls. I had this doll, I'm telling you, it had real hair. And my brother, he was quite young, then pulled the hair off of it. And my father bought a new wig for it, and it cost him £2 10 shillings. Well, that was more than a man's wages in those days.
And was it made of china?
Oh yes, made with china, and the hands and everything as well, and all properly dressed.